Flight BA777 was ready. It stood on the tarmac. The date was March 8, 2003. It was a normal morning. Passengers boarded the large jet. They settled into their seats. They expected a routine flight. They had no idea what was coming. The world had no idea. Soon everything would change for them. A mystery was about to begin. The engines roared to life. The plane moved slowly at first. Then it gathered speed. It lifted off the runway. It climbed into the clear blue sky. The city below grew smaller. Air traffic control watched its progress. Everything seemed perfectly normal. The pilots made routine contact. Their voices were calm. Ascending to cruising altitude, one said. Suddenly the blip vanished. On the radar screen, it was just gone. Controllers stared in disbelief. They called out to Flight BA777. There was only silence. No distress signal was sent, no warning was given. The plane had simply disappeared. It was as if it had flown into another dimension, or perhaps it never existed at all. Confusion turned into alarm. The airline was notified. Government agencies were alerted. News crews began to gather. Where was the plane? What had happened to it? Had it crashed? Was it terrorism? No one knew the answers. The silence from the sky was deafening. The world watched and waited. It was the start of a long, painful mystery. The search began immediately. It was one of the largest searches in history. Ships sailed vast areas of ocean. Planes scanned the waves from above. Satellites looked down from space. They searched for any sign. They looked for wreckage. They looked for survivors. They looked for answers. But the ocean was vast and deep. It kept its secrets well. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. No debris was found, not a single piece of the aircraft. It was baffling to investigators. How could a modern jet vanish? How could it disappear without a trace? Families of the passengers were desperate. They needed to know what happened. They clung to any sliver of hope. The lack of answers was torture. Years passed by, the world moved on. But the families did not forget. The mystery of Flight BA777 remained. It became a modern legend. Books were written about it, documentaries were made. People offered many theories, some were logical, some were wild, but no theory could be proven. The plane was simply gone. Hope faded into a dull ache. The official investigation concluded it could not determine the cause, it could not explain the disappearance. For the families, there was no closure, just an empty space, an unanswered question. The airline offered condolences, monuments were built, but the truth remained hidden. Hidden somewhere beyond understanding. The world was left to wonder, what truly happened up there? Then one ordinary Tuesday afternoon it happened. It was 20 years later. Air traffic controllers at a major airport saw it. An unidentified blip appeared on their radar. It was moving steadily. It was on a direct course for the airport. They tried to make contact. Unidentified aircraft, identify yourself, they called. The response chilled them to the bone. A voice, calm and clear. This is Flight BA777 requesting permission to land. The controllers were stunned. BA777? That was impossible. That flight vanished 2 decades ago. They checked their systems, they checked again. Could it be a hoax? A terrible, cruel joke? The transponder signal was correct. It matched the missing plane. The voice signature matched the original pilot's. It was beyond belief. The plane landed smoothly. It taxied to an empty gate. Airport security surrounded it. Emergency crews stood by, ready. The world watched, holding its breath. News cameras broadcast the scene live. What would they find inside? Ghosts or something even stranger? The door of the aircraft opened. The stairs were connected, and then they appeared. Passengers, crew, looking confused. They looked exactly as they did 20 years before. They had not aged a day. Their clothes were the same. Their watches showed the date of their departure. They were confused by the commotion. They asked why there was such a fuss. They believed only a few hours had passed. They had no memory of anything unusual. For them, it was still 2003. The world outside had aged 20 years. The reappearance of Flight BA777 shocked the globe. Scientists were baffled. Governments were speechless. How could this happen? The passengers and crew were quarantined. They were examined extensively. They were physically and mentally unchanged. Their stories were consistent. A normal flight, a little turbulence, then landing, nothing more. Nothing to explain the lost years. Many theories emerged. Some suggested a wormhole, a tear in space-time. The plane flew through it. It emerged decades later. Others spoke of alien abduction. Perhaps advanced beings took the plane. They returned it for reasons unknown. Some whispered of secret government experiments, time travel projects gone awry, or perhaps a dimensional shift. The plane slipped into another reality, then slipped back. Skeptics tried to find rational explanations, but there were none. The evidence was too compelling. The plane was real. The people were real. The time discrepancy was undeniable. It challenged our understanding of physics. It challenged our concept of reality. The event became a beacon for researchers, for those who study the unexplained, for those who believe there is more to our world. The mystery of Flight BA777 endures. It changed aviation history forever. It fueled the public's fascination with the unknown. It reminds us that not all questions have answers. Some events defy easy explanation. They linger in our collective memory. They whisper of possibilities beyond our current grasp. The sky holds more secrets than we can imagine, and sometimes it gives one back, just to make us wonder.